Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In this presentation, we will describe the data show for the digestive system. Digestive system, of course, we know that it is formed of a tube and glands. We will start by the oral cavity. It is lined by what is called oral mucosa. The oral mucosa is formed of epithelium, which is a stratified squamous. Under this epithelium, we have lamina propria. What is the lamina propria? It is dense, irregular, collagenous connective tissue, a white fibrous connective tissue. This epithelium, in all of the oral mucosa except some parts, is non-keratinized. But in some parts, it is partially keratinized, like the dorsum of the tongue, and keratinized like the gums and hard palate. This is the first section here in the oral cavity, which is the lip. Here we have the lip. It is U-shaped structure formed of three surfaces. This is the surface showing keratin and the hair follicles with the associated sebaceous glands and sweat glands. This is the skin side. And the side which is non-keratinized, stratified squamous epithelium, which is the typical oral mucosa, this is the side of the mucous membrane, the side of the mucous membrane, and it is associated with the labial glands, which is mainly mucus acini. And at the border we have the red margin, which is called vermilion, and it is characterized by having deep papillae. Deep papillae, as you see here, the projections of the connective tissue underneath the epithelium are called papillae. Here they are very deep and very numerous, and the stratified squamous epithelium here, it is thin, but it is not provided with hair follicle, no sebaceous, no sweat glands. But on the other side, it is characterized by having a transparent epithelium that shows the color of the underneath blood vessels. Here, this is the picture for the lip, also U-shaped structure, and this is the site of the skin, as we can see the hair follicles. And this is number 2, the site of the mucous membrane, as we can see the labial glands, which is mainly mucous glands. And number 3, it is the vermilion, or the margin, lip margin, characterized by having thin skin but with no hair follicles, no sweat, no sebaceous glands. And we can see here this acidophilic area. It is a mass of the muscle, skeletal muscle, orbicularis oris, and these dark glands are the mucous glands. Relatively, it is darker than the muscle here in this picture, but as long as they are underneath the mucous membrane, these are the mucous glands or the labial glands. Number 6, here we have blood vessels here underneath the red margin. It is called red because it is transparent, showing the color of the blood underneath. Here, this is a picture showing the surface of the skin of the lip. You can see keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and here it is the hair follicle with the associated sebaceous glands. Here we can see some small blue dots representing the sweat glands. يبقى هنا السكين side characterized by keratinized stratified squamous, showing hair follicles, showing sebaceous glands as well as sweat glands. Hairy skin, hair follicles, sebaceous glands, sweat glands. Then this is the mucous membrane side. We have the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and here we have underneath the mucus, the labial glands, which are mainly mucus pale stained acini, and these take care, they are the ducts of the glands. They are not the hair follicles, no, they are the ducts of these mucus labial glands or labial glands in general. Some of the acini are dark, these are serous acini, but the majority of the acini are pale blue or pale stained. They are the mucous glands. Here the red margin characterized by having thin skin. It is thin skin. It is thin skin, and it is devoid of hair follicles and sweet sebaceous glands. They are not present at all, but we have a lot of blood vessels underneath this epithelium. Of course, this epithelium is richly supplied with the nerve endings. So this it is thin skin which is non-hairy, thin skin which is non-hairy, thin skin, non-hairy, no sebaceous, no sweat glands, and they have deep papillae and the blood vessels underneath. A lot of nerve endings, making it very sensitive. Then we will see the other slide, which is the tongue. The tongue is a muscular organ covered by the stratified squamous epithelium from dorsal surface and ventral surface. But the dorsal surface is rough. Here it is smooth. Here we have papillae, no papillae. Here it is firmly attached to the lamina propria. It is loosely attached to the lamina propria. And here we can find that it is partially keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, as you will see, but here it is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Here the papillae on the dorsum of the tongue, and you can see we have the filiform papillae, very numerous, conical, wide-based, narrow apex, devoid of taste buds. These are the filiform papillae, very numerous on the dorsum, on the anterior two-thirds of the dorsum of the tongue. You can find some fungiform papillae in between, which is looking like a fungus with a broad base and narrow apex, and we will see another pictures for this type of papillae. In between these two layers we have the prominent muscle, which is skeletal, arranged in 3 directions. We have this vertical arrangement. We have those rounded, they are the transverse, and those passing longitudinal direction. These are the longitudinal, this is the vertical, and these are the transversely arranged. They appear as round circles. Here again we have also the picture for the tongue, and we have the dorsum of the tongue and the ventral surface of the tongue and the muscle in the 3 perpendicular directions to each other. We have the longitudinal, we have the vertical, we have the transverse. Here we have something in this picture, which is the mucous lingual glands, which are present under the muscle near the more near to the ventral surface of the tongue, while the dorsal surface of the tongue shows the papillae, and we have here the fungiform papillae, which is broad tip and narrow base, and the reverse in the filiform, which is wide base and narrow apex. This is devoid of the taste buds. This shows some taste buds. The most numerous is the type 1 filiform papillae, and in between we have some scattered red-colored papillae called fungiform papillae, while those are whitish in color in the living state. And this is the ventral surface formed of non-keratinized stratified squamous, and here these papillae, the filiform, are covered with keratinized, while the fungiform is covered with non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, so that we say that the dorsum of the tongue is partially keratinized. Here we have also the dorsum of the tongue, and we have the filiform papillae, and we have the fungiform papillae here again, and we have also the muscles. We have the longitudinally arranged, we have vertically arranged, and those appearing as bundles of circle fibers, they are the transversely arranged. Take care, they are intersecting at right angles. The angles in between the different directions is always right angle. And this is the diagram showing the arrangement or distribution of the papillae. At the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, we have the most numerous type, which is the filiform papillae. Scattered in between, we have the papillae which are projecting slightly on the surface, which is the fungiform papillae. And at the sulcus terminalis, that's the junction between the anterior 2/3 and the posterior third, we have the circumvallate papillae from 6 to 14 in number, and they are depressed, not projecting on the surface of the tongue. As you see, they are surrounded by a groove or a valley, so they are called circumvallate papillae. And the fungiform is projecting more than the circumvallate papillae. The fungiform has few taste buds. The circumvallate has a lot of taste buds. Both of them are covered with non-keratinized stratified squamous, while the filiform is covered by keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Here we have the filiform papillae, which is conical in shape, the most numerous on the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. No taste buds are present, covered with keratinized stratified squamous, and they are whitish in color. Here we have the lamina propria, and we have here the muscles. In between the muscles here we can see the lingual salivary glands. These are the muscles, this transverse muscle, this is the vertical, and we have longitudinal fibers also in the muscle of the tongue. Here we have the lingual muscle, lingual mucus or lingual salivary glands, which is mixture of mucus and serous acini, but we can see that it is mainly mucus acini. Here we have mixture of the serous and the mucus. This is the lingual salivary glands. And the whitish area here, they are the adipose tissue. Now we will describe the fungiform again. It is having a narrow base, wide apex. It is covered with non-keratinized stratified squamous, while the filiform is covered with the keratinized. The filiform has no taste buds. Here you can see some taste buds, and the most important feature here, it is not evident so much in this picture. The most important feature is the presence of some blood vessels here, making this papilla red in color. Some blood vessels are present in relatively more numerous compared to the filiform, and giving the fungiform papilla a reddish color, while this is whitish in color. Here we have the third type of the papillae, which is circumvallate papilla. The papilla which is surrounded by a groove all through the circumference of it. It is this groove or trench or valley. So it is called circumvallate papilla because it is surrounded all through the circumference by this groove or valley. You can see it is not projecting on the surface like that of the fungiform. You can see that it is provided with many taste buds at the sides here. And also it is characterized by the presence of serous glands, which are darker than the mucous glands, acini. These serous glands are named according to the scientist von Ebner. Von Ebner's serous glands. Here these are the mucous acini, serous acini, present underneath the circumvallate papillae. Serous acini, the von Ebner serous acini. What is this? It is the duct of these von Ebner serous glands. These glands, of course, are accessory salivary glands. They share in the formation of the saliva. We have major salivary glands, parotid, submandibular, sublingual, and we have accessory like the labial glands, which have been taken in the lip slide, and the glands present under the papilla, which are von Ebner, and also the lingual mixed glands formed of mucus and serous acini. Here we have in the rabbit the fourth type of the papilla, which is not present or rudimentary in the human being. It is the papilla foliata. It is rectangular in shape and characterized by having parallel ridges of epithelium alternating with the furrows of connective tissue, having a lot of taste buds. These papilla are present on the dorsum at the lateral part of the dorsal part of the tongue, يعني lateral part of the dorsum of the tongue of the rabbit. These papilla foliata are present. And also in the connective tissue lamina propria underneath, we have also serous glands, and in the picture you can see the ducts of these glands. Here we have the picture for the tongue of the rabbit, and on the dorsum of the tongue of the rabbit we have these rectangular papilla with the famous two ridges like the letter 11 of epithelium alternating with furrows of connective tissue or lamina propria, and they have a lot of taste buds at the side walls. Here we have a duct opening in the groove in between the papilla. Here it is a duct of glands. The glands here are serous glands like those of von Ebner present in relation to the circumvallate papilla. And also here we can see the muscles present in the tongue here, and we have also these serous glands present here also in the tongue of the rabbit. We have serous glands in the tongue of the rabbit. We have here also the striated muscle. So the striated muscle is more pale in color, and this is dark or blue in color. This is the serous acini. And this is the papilla foliata, number 1. Number 2, the taste buds. Number 3, the serous glands. Not mention the name von Ebner, say serous glands only. And then we have the striated muscle, number 4. And we have here the ducts of the serous glands or the glands present underneath the papillae. Here we have the Filiform Papillae, which is conical, covered with keratinized stratified squamous. It is devoid of taste buds, most numerous on the anterior 2/3 of the dorsum of the tongue. And here we have, in between we have occasional fungiform papillae, which is characterized by having non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and it is with of fungiform shape with broad tip and narrow apex. And also we have here some evident blood vessels that will give the red color for this fungiform papilla when we look on the dorsum of the tongue. In the mirror you can see red spots. These are the fungiform papillae. Here we have the circumvallate with the groove surrounding. It is not projecting on the surface, surrounded by the groove, and having a lot of the taste buds. And underneath we have the von Ebner serous glands that will open in this valley or trench here, the valley or the groove in between, in the groove surrounding the circumvallate papillae. Also here we have the flask-shaped taste buds, numerous at the side walls of papilla foliata, which is rectangular in shape here. Now let's move to the taste buds. It is a neuroepithelium, onion-shaped, having an opening on the surface of the tongue, and this opening is called taste pore. And the taste bud is formed of 3 types of cells. We have the supporting cells. These supporting cells are provided with microvilli, but the bases of these cells are not supplied by nerve fibers or afferent nerve fibers, while the taste cells are supplied with microvilli, and the base is supplied or surrounded by these nerves are supplying the hair cells or the taste cells. You can differentiate between them very clearly under the electron microscope, where we can see the synaptic vesicles here were containing the chemical transmitter here in the base of the cell under the electron microscope, very evident. And here we have also by the light microscope you can see the nerve fibers by high magnification. So this is the difference between the test cell and supporting cells. Sometimes they say that the supporting cells is darker in color than the hair cell, and the supporting cell is secreting secretion which is glycoprotein that covers the microvilli in the taste pore. In addition, we have basal cells. These basal cells are not supplied by microvilli, and they are stem cells to regenerate the hair cell and supporting cell. For your knowledge, the hair cells and supporting cells are renewed every 10 days. So this is a picture under the light microscope, ordinary with the high power. We can see that they are onion-shaped, flask-shaped, and here they are present in the epithelium of the papillae, and they open, but the section is not passing through this opening. They open on the surface through the taste pore. They are supplied by many cells. Some here you can see these are basal cells, but all these are the supporting cells, mainly at the periphery, and in the center mainly the hair cells, but you cannot see any evident difference here except that this one is dark. It may be the supporting cell, but you are not asked to differentiate between them in this magnification. Here also the taste bud, onion shaped, have a taste pore opening on the surface. They are present in the epithelium covering the papillae, but they are present also in other sites. They are present in the soft palate, they are present in the pharynx, in the epiglottis. Then these are the taste buds. This is the taste pore. This is the epithelium, which is stratified squamous of the wall of the papilla, and this is the connective tissue which is pale stained here. It is the lamina propria. Now we will start a quiz on the lip and the tongue. This is a section in the lip. A, skin surface. B, mucous membrane surface. and C it is the red margin، أو طبعا لو هي ممكن في اسم تاني ليها تبقى عارفه vermilion. And this is slide 2. A is the mucous membrane surface and B is the skin. عرفته ازاي؟ by the presence of the hair follicles، والmucous membrane عرفته by the presence of the labial glands، the mucous labial glands. And then we have number 1, this is the hair follicle. Number 2, it is the labial glands. Number 3, it is the skeletal muscle, which is orbicularis oris. This is the identify the surface of the lip. This surface here, you can see hair follicles, sebaceous glands. So this is the skin surface of the lip. Number 1, it is the hair follicle. Number 2, it is the sebaceous gland, pale stained. And number 3, it is the skeletal muscle, acidophilic in appearance, and we have a lot of these muscles transversely cut. Mucus, this is a section in the lip. Which surface of the lip? A. Surface of the lip, this is the this surface, of course, it is the mucous membrane. How? Because here we don't have hair follicles, and we have the mucus or the labial glands mainly formed of mucus acini, very limited serous acini, but mainly mucus acini. These are blood vessels, not hair follicle. So this is the mucous membrane surface of the lip. A, it is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. B, it is the labial gland. C, it is the lamina propria of connective tissue. And number D, these are blood vessels. All these having the RBCs are the blood vessel. Then this is section in the lip. We have finished this one. Then this is a section in the lip. ليه؟ لأن عندي mucous membrane, عندي margin with deep papillae, عندي skin side. So this is the section in the lip, a U-shaped structure. And number one, it is number one represents the mucous membrane surface, a red star characterized by red star اللي هي labial glands. Number two, it is the skin surface. Here we have the skin surface characterized by the hair follicles for red arrow. And then we have the green arrow. This is the red margin أو vermilion border, characterized by having deep papillae, no hair follicles, and no sebaceous, no sweat glands. And the black star here, this is the red area. It is the muscle, skeletal muscle. You should mention it is a skeletal muscle. أو ممكن between two brackets or pecularis oris. This is a section in the tongue. عرفت ازاي tongue؟ لأن عندي هنا في مفيش skin خالص. All of it is a stratified squamous epithelium. هنا in the form of mucous membrane, no skin at all. And a big bulk of muscle here in between. So this is the tongue, and we have papilla on one surface. Number two represents the dorsal surface. Number three represents the ventral surface. Slide number 7, filiform papilla. Filiform papilla, here we have the appearance of this conical shaped papilla, filiform papilla, and the type of the papilla of the field is the filiform papilla. The type of the muscle is striated or skeletal muscle. The orientation is longitudinal. We have here it is not evident in the picture, but you should mention the three orientation. We have vertical, we have transverse, and the longitudinal they are not evident in this picture, but you should mention the three orientations. Slide number 8, identify the type of papillae. Here A, it is the circumvallate papillae, not projecting. multiple test buds على طول يبقى والجروف يبقى دي circumvallate papillae. Filiform papillae number B, papilla foliata rectangle with the parallel ridges or letter of 11 or number 11, and this is the papilla foliata, of course. Then we have circumvallate papillae surrounded by the groove and a lot of taste buds. Then we have also here the rectangular with the number 11 or the parallel ridges here and furrows. And then we have the number F, it is the filiform papillae devoid of taste buds covered with keratinized stratified squamous, fungiform, non-keratinized stratified squamous. يعني طبعا واضح ان هنا الكيراتين واضح اكتر من هنا. And here you should have some blood vessels somewhat numerous, giving this red coloration, and this is whitish coloration in the normal living state. Then we have slide number 9. This type of the papilla is the circumvallate papilla. Number E, it is the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. The black arrow, taste buds. The blue arrow, it is the von Ebner serous glands. The dotted arrow, it is the groove or the valley. يبقى هنا خلصنا slide 9. slide 10 هنا we have identified the type of the papilla. هنا دي طبعا rectangles with the parallel ridges. Here it is the papilla foliata. Number 2 Number 1 is the epithelium. Number 2, it is the connective tissue. Number 3, it is the taste buds. The black arrow, these are the serous glands. The blue arrow, it is the duct of the gland. Here we mention serous glands. We don't mention the name von Ebner. It is serous glands. The von Ebner is only mentioned with the circumvallate papillae. Slide 11. The structures pointed to by the black arrow, of course, they are the taste buds. and they are located at the side of the هنا طبعا البابيلا فولياتا. فوليات type of papilla هنقولها فوليات، اصل هو بيقول لك type of فوليات type of papilla او papilla فولياتا type of papilla. يبقى عرفناها ازاي عشان الريدجز دي، يبقى ده على طول هنا ادي البارالل ريدجز وده الكونكتيف تيشو، يبقى ده الاجابه بتاعتها. الستراكشرز بوينت باي ذا بلاك ارو هي التيست بادز، والبابيلا هنا بابيلا فولياتا تايب. last slide we have the arrows taste buds here. The arrows هنا they belong to a modified type of epithelium known as neuro epithelium، يبقى دي الإجابة الأولانية. وعندي هنا ال arrows pointing to the taste buds، والsites include طبعا هي موجودة على الtongue papilla except the filiform، موجودة في الsoft palate وموجودة في الpharynx وموجودة في الepiglottis. Thank you very much.